people that are talking about breaking the rules use their fingers to speak to each other. And that's what gangs do to communicate from point A to point B. It's almost like this has been in the Bible for 2,000 years, and people feel like it's a new thing. That is unbelievable, isn't it? That things that are happening in your life today are in here from 2,000 years ago. That's very weird. So welcome back to the Warrior's Way. And we were talking about spiritualwarfareunit.com, where we're having our podcast done. And we were getting into talking about what a lot of people don't know what jail reentry programming is. And it's a new thought process of when people get arrested and they go into jail. There's jail ministry, where there's chaplains that go in and they preach the word of God and help to get people saved in their lowest moment, the most difficult times, where a lot of times it's a good spot. People listen when they're in a low moment, you know. But what happens is they get done with their time, they get out, and then what happens? They move right back to where they were at. They got them in trouble in the first place, right? So the idea is to put together the community around them that cares for them, churches that will take people with a past, and nonprofits and groups in the area that can help with needs that they may have. Because, you know, when you get out, people don't want to hire someone who've been out of jail, or, you know, they get that bad rep, and then everybody's judging you and you're a terrible person. But everybody makes mistakes. You know, it's not about making the mistake that's really the important thing. The question is like, what do you do after you make that mistake? Do you go back to the same environment to repeat that mistake, or do you make decisions? So this all started about 4 years ago. I was preaching in the jail, and I was doing the Spiritual Warfare Unit videos, but at the time I was creating a class. And so we got done, and there's this guy, he was in there for murder, and he said, well, when I get out, he said, you know, what do you're just not going to be around? And I was like, well, no, I was like, of course not, I'm going to be in here. He's like, well, what do I do? And so I went and I asked the head guy, I said, what do you do? And he said, I tell them to take a Bible and go to the first church they see. And I was like, wait a minute. I was like, that's the actual answer? He's like, yeah, it's not our problem. Not our problem. I was like, wow, right? So God used that and was like, bam, you know, look into this. And so I started looking into it, and sure enough, there's, you know, and one of the things a lot of people don't know about Salvation Army is they don't take federal money so they can talk about God, right? And I didn't know that. And so I started working with them, and doing their chaplain and getting into their programs and kind of seeing what they're doing. And we got this guy, Danny Martinez. I laugh and call him like the unofficial mayor of Flint, because he knows everybody. And this dude's work ethic is unbelievable, right? And he's this guy from San Antonio, Texas, and he's a Mexican dude, loves some Jesus, like Jesus super freak, right? And the man's motor just goes. And I mean, the lawyers know him, the judges know him, the nonprofits know him, the politicians. I mean, he can't go anywhere. And when he asks for something, like, it happens. And I was like, all right, dude, like, what can I do to help you? And so we started this communication between the jail, and when time guys were getting out, to instead of them going and being homeless or going back to a situation where their house, they're selling drugs or whatever, to getting them into a program where they can be safe for 6 months, and then let's get them into some job training so they can get a job at a warehouse or a shop or something somewhere where we can get them in there and they're making legitimate money to take care of themselves, right? And give them the opportunity to succeed. And then if they choose failure, fine. You know, that's one of the options, and we accept that, you know, but you didn't say that we didn't be able to help. And then the more we started getting into it, this is where COVID was kind of a blessing, believe it or not, because when it shut down, at least in Genesee County area, our sheriff, Chris Swanson, started a community care task force. And that was a partnership between the sheriff's office and the nonprofits in the area. And we were able to put together with the food bank in our area a 9-location distribution food center. And we sent out over 1 million pounds of food in 4 months to people, all for free, right? While we were going through this horrible situation, people couldn't get out. And the cool thing about it is I got to meet all these awesome people who were like, yeah, I want to help. And between the churches and nonprofits, we put together a distribution center that didn't exist in like 12 and a half hours. It was a mess, right? But on the outside, the people got this stuff. And I mean, the hours were retarded. Like there wasn't a time off. You were sleeping or you were working for that 4 months. But I got to meet all these awesome people. And I realized a lot of the work that people need when they're coming out of, being in drug rehabilitation, or they're coming out of jail, is a lot of the stuff they need already exists, but nobody knows they exist. And I was like, man, I got this whole group of great people that already do this stuff. And so the idea come, how can I help them? And the way I can help them is let everybody know they exist, right? So we're going to create that. It's going to be the horse for our hub, the United Community Addiction Network, and Spiritual Warfare Unit.com is going to be the website. And if you're struggling with anything, you're going to scroll down to the bottom and you're going to click on it, and that should take you right to a number. Or if it's housing or food, it'll have it right on there. And when we start doing this out by county, it'll let you know if it's in, we're in Michigan right now. So if it's in Genesee County, Lapeer County, Saginaw County, Tuscola County, Ingham County, whatever it is. And we'll see what the outcome is. And we'll make sure to get you the information that you need. And this community, which was actually started by a question a guy that was in there for murder asked me, God actually used that dude to implement that thought process to get us to this location. And so just creating this community of people that already do what they're doing, and just let them know. And for me, it's the people. I get to meet the people. I get to hear their story, and we all come from something that was really difficult for us, and then God helped us get through these situations, and then he used that pain that we went through into the passion that we use to help others. And so you come up here and you need a good story, you're struggling and you need to hear how God used somebody, you pop onto our podcast and you can listen to one of our stories, and you can see one of our people and the situation they've gone through. And I can't wait for you guys to meet some of these people we got to meet. Coming up on the next segment, we're going to be talking about drug rehabilitation program and the Spiritual Warfare Unit. We'll see you in a minute.